There are a lot of things in this life that I do want to do. Then there's that list of things that I don't want to do. And at the very tip top, above having a beer-fueled barbecue with Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't want to go to a Tucker Carlson tour or a Tucker Carlson rally. That's what's taking place tonight in Glendale, Arizona. Let's check in on it. Absolute insanity. The moment that I'm going to play for you first in its full context is one that's already going, a clipped version of it is already going viral and is disturbing and is a part of a broader context of violent language from Trump. As you're watching this clip, please make sure you have clicked that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're hoping to get to 1 million subscribers by Election Day. As a reminder, it's completely free to subscribe. The membership stuff is a whole different thing if you click the join button, but just the subscribe button, free, but it does support the channel. Thank you so much to everyone who's already subscribed. Here is Trump saying that guns need to be pointed at Liz Cheney.
Then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person, and I'd have me.
Liz Cheney is an example of a principled Republican. And for that, she gets Trump saying that guns need to be trained at her face. And of course, he's trying to say, and I always like to give you what MAGA's gonna jump into action defending Trump with, which is, no, he's saying that if she actually understood the peril that comes with being in war, she'd be more mindful, this, that, the other thing. But that language is undeniable, and it's a part of the, even if you were to go, no, that's completely not as insane as it is. What about when he reposted that True Social post saying Liz Cheney needs to be put in front of a military tribunal for her role in the January 6th Select Committee? Something that I said earlier, that there's a clipped version that doesn't include Trump saying because she's a war hawk when she's not in front of guns, but if she actually was in the military. And I don't think showing it in the full context takes away from how deranged it was. But there's, standing alone, an instance of Trump already saying she needs to be put in front of a military tribunal. When will it stop? When, I shouldn't keep asking those rhetorical questions because we know it won't. Trump will continue to say this sort of stuff, I guess, until we force him out of the political discussion by defeating him electorally and politically, make his voice irrelevant in this process. But he's, of course, also said the justified punishment in times gone by for his former top general, Mark Milley, would be death, and so many other vile things about people who dare to speak out against him. So that's the big newsworthy part you're going to be hearing all throughout tomorrow, at least as of when I'm recording this. This just happened at Tucker Carlson's event. That's just wrapping up. And going on to other moments, Trump was really fixated on Adam Schiff for one period of time.
To break the country.
It could be they hate our country. They may hate our country. And we deal with real scum. Like a guy like Adam Shifty Schiff. He's a sleazebag. And he's probably going to be a senator, if you can believe it. But I call him Watermelon Head. He has no, he's unattractive, both inside and out. That is, no, but this is a really bad guy. This is a dishonest guy. Not a dumb guy at all. He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen on a human being.
So listen, his closing argument is deranged rhetoric, is childish rhetoric, and so many people say, sign me up. That's what I'd like. He said stuff like this.
Hillary Clinton, who's a smart woman, much smarter than Kamala, but doesn't lie as much. Hillary was a liar, a horrible scoundrel, but this one lies so much. And she's a low IQ individual. She doesn't even know she's lying, I'm telling you. This is not what you want for your president. That has nothing to do with me. This is not what you want. She's a very low IQ individual.
Notice he's becoming so diminished in his own, let's just say, cognitive functioning. We talked about how even just when you analyze the linguistics of the different prominent political figures being Trump, Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump is very much experiencing decline in his ability to communicate himself, take the English language and deliver it in a way that makes sense to people. Except for, I guess, his audience members, but as a way of projecting and as a way of working through his own insecurities, he just accuses all of the other people that he feels insecure about of being low IQ and stupid. But I guess on that subject, you know how Trump always insists that he does the weave? And the weave is his justification for just rambling for a super long period of time. I do want to play for you a couple clips first to sort of lead into this, and then at least parts of I'll have to skip around because it's like 12 minutes of Trump rambling. But right when Trump comes out, I think immediately Tucker went, "Oh no, well, what have I done?" Because he asked like a second or third question, and Trump just rambles. And then in the middle of it justifies it by saying that it's the weave, which is his new thing. A couple clips first before getting to that.
How do you feel?
So, we have these rallies, and it's nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter. Isn't it really nice?
It depends on what you do when you're not speaking on the teleprompter. Here's Trump in the middle of the ramble you're about to listen to saying, "This is actually brilliant what I'm doing."
But but here's the thing. So with shifty shift, see, that's the weave. See, we start. You know about the weave, right? Start. As long as you come back to the right location. So what happens? You understand that?
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Does he ramble?"
What's going on with Tucker? Can someone explain? Tell me in the comments. What's Tucker's deal here?
You know about the weave, right? Start. As long as you come back to the right location. So what happens? You understand that?
Yeah.
This is awesome. I'm having such a great time.
Somebody said, "Does he ramble?" You know about the weave, right? Start. As long as you come back to the right location. So what happens? You understand that?
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Does he ramble?" I said, "I don't ramble. I do the weave. I covered many, many subjects." And you always come back to the right. That's genius. There's a difference between rambling and genius.
I don't ramble. I call the weave. And when I just go to all these different topics, and you might not be able to understand it because you're not as smart as me, but whenever I go to top, then I come back to the thing. That's like, there's a big difference between genius and rambling. And people say that I'm rambling, but I'm not rambling. I promise I'm not rambling. I'm actually genius because I use the weave. I think there was a guy just outside of our office saying something similar to what Trump was saying there. Gosh, how does he think that sounds like a justification? Okay, so why did he feel the need to say, "I'm actually genius. Trust me, I'm genius. It's not that I'm rambling. I'm not losing my train of thought. I'm genius." The reason I choose not to articulate thoughts in a way that comes off coherent to people is because I choose to do it in such a way that's just so genius that if you could possibly comprehend it, you realize the genius of the art of my linguistics. Even though whenever you do an objective analysis of my linguistic performance, I have been rapidly declining over the last few years. And let me put this on to 2 times speed, and we won't listen to all of it. I'll skip around, but I'll let you know when I'm skipping forward so that you get a feel for what the heck is happening at an event like this.
Gravest crime ever committed against the United States, ever, by any country. Our leaders committed against us. But it does raise the question of motive. It hasn't helped the labor market any. It hasn't helped Americans at all. you've heard a Democratic senator stood up and said the United States military should take these people. We should give them guns. New York City has given them guns in the police department. Like, you wonder, like, what is going on here?
So it's the hardest thing, in business, and you like to go.
So Tucker's saying the border, because the Democrats, is a crime against our country. What's going on here? What's the motive, right? Tucker's question. And Trump delivers this.
And where you started from, you sort of like to understand where the other side's coming from. So here you're looking at something. Why do they want men in women's sports? And, I've been doing this now. I used to say, I was very proud to say I wasn't a politician, but I guess after a while you're sort of a politician.
I think you qualify, yeah.
And, so, I hate to say it, but you like to know where the other side's coming from. And I'll say, why do they want to have men, and they're so emphatic about it, men playing in women's sports? You see what's happening in volleyball, what's happening in swimming, what's happening in weightlifting. How about weightlifting?
Okay, so then he goes on about trans athletes for a super long time. Not exactly answering the question. He talks about how maybe people just want to destroy the country. Let me just click the 5 seconds forward button a bunch of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's see where we pick up here.
Russia hoax, the whole thing. And I sued them, and it's doing very well, by the way. I want the reporters to give back their awards because they were wrong. There were plenty of guys that were right, like you and Sean, and there were plenty of guys that were right. But so I said, but here's the thing. So with Shifty Schiff, see, that's the weave. See, we start. You know about the weave, right? Start. As long as you come back to the right location. So what happens? You understand that?
Yeah.
Somebody said, does he ramble?
So we're to this part of it. Just so you know, we already watched the whole 12 minutes because we were watching it live. Tucker never asks a follow-up question. It's just Trump.
Well, I said, I don't ramble, I do the weave. I cover many, many subjects. And you always come back to the right. That's genius. There's a difference between rambling and genius. Okay, so now getting back to the point. So I have a son, Don, a good guy, knows nothing about Russia, that has 0. And they went through millions of phone calls. There wasn't one call to Russia, et cetera, et cetera. So Adam Schiff, a real sleazebag. He's at an intelligence meeting, and he's not supposed to be talking, but wherever he goes, the press is out there standing because he's provocative or whatever the hell. Or because they figure they'll get something bad on me, which is probably much more accurate. So Schiff comes out. Now think of this, how bad a person you have to be. I have a son, and I love my son. I love all my children. You love your children. I mean, there are a couple of people who doesn't love their children? There'll be about 20 people out there. But I have a son. And I love my son. And he's a good boy. He's a good guy. Eric, Baron. I love my kids. I have good kids. But I love my son. And
all right. And now I'm going to pause it here. And I mentioned it earlier, but while I'm skipping forward a bunch of times, click, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, just to see where we pick up in this 12-minute ramble, I will remind you that if you do want to support this show in the extra way, so you have the subscribe way, we're talking about that, but if you want to go a step further and become a member, become an premium member of the Beasley Brigade, you can do that by clicking the join button. So where do we pick up after all those 5-second clips?
Exoneration, but here's a guy that made up a story that tried to put my son in prison for years, and he knew the story was false. They made it up. How bad a person do you have to be? And I heard the son of the President of the United States is going to jail, and he'll be there for many years. On a certain, how would you feel if you're the kid? I mean, you're a young kid and you're hearing this crap. Just think of it. But how bad do you have to be? So you know it's fake because he made it up. And he's a storyteller too. He writes little bullshit stories. You know that, right? But I just think we have some, and I talk about the enemy from within, and they're the greatest con people in the world. Oh,
there's about 10 terms or phrases that you could put money on that if you let Trump talk long enough and you do the Tucker thing where you just sit there, I'm gonna let you talk to you what? You're so awesome, you're so handsome, and you just sort of sit in your chair, and you don't do any, interviewing and interrupt him to ask a follow-up question, and you just let him talk for 12 minutes. You can put money on a few key phrases he'll come back to. Enemy from within is one of them, which he already got back to.
They talk about how that's a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy. The amazing thing is where they say, he wants to become elected and he wants to put people in jail. How terrible. That's what they've been trying to do to me for 4 years.
And I should say that your son, Don, had...
And finally, he finishes his rant. Again, I don't have an exact one. If I guesstimated correctly, it was like 12, but 10-ish minutes of Trump rambling straight. That's not how normal Q&As go on a stage. Everyone gets that, right? So then in the middle, he has to go, this is not rambling, by the way. I know you think it's rambling. It's not. It's the weave. But MAGA looks at us straight in the face and says he's sharper than ever. Tucker, as much as he may want to run off that stage in the middle of this, is able to swallow whatever pride he has left. That's the wrong phrase, isn't it? He's able to hang up whatever dignity he has left, integrity, whatever spine, as he's done many times in the past, like this segment about the sexiness of M&M characters.
The other big change is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy. That's progress. M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, we've achieved equity. They've won.
It's just... I just miss the America that I grew up in, you know? Where Eminem characters were hot. It's like, what is that too much to ask for? Cancel culture's coming for everything. If Tucker can do that, he can pretend like Trump makes sense. If Tucker can do this, he can pretend Trump makes sense.
If you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he's talking about Trump. This is a big metaphor for Trump, by the way, if you missed the context of this.
Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way.
A big metaphor for Trump that led to the crowd chanting, Daddy Don, Daddy John, as Trump was coming out on stage. But they insist. It's not a cult. This is all about economic concerns. This is about the border. We just care about policy. We just want Trump's executive orders back. Daddy Don, Daddy Don, spank me, Don, spank me. Now, far more rational at this hour, which, by the way, I am recording this at 1:28 a.m. You remember that little membership thing I mentioned? If you want to support the grind, you can do that. Jennifer Lopez was speaking at a Harris rally in Las Vegas, parallel to this event. You have two options. You could have tuned into whatever you call what Trump has been doing. Put some barrels of guns at Liz Cheney. Or you could tune into something different. Here's J-Lo.
No matter what we look like, who we love, or who we worship, or where we're from, her opponent, on the other hand, doesn't see it that way. He has consistently worked to divide us. At Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels. It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day. Okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character.
And some strong words there about Trump's hate-filled rally at Madison Square Garden. If you want to see Trump further triggered, play him clips like this one.
You may have seen, I talked in Washington, D.C. the other day. You know, he likes to compare crowd sizes. I had 100,000 people there.
Something about the laugh afterwards makes it seem like she's like, I don't know. But, you know, that upsets Trump quite a bit. And then on something more serious, Trump had that comment where he said, whether women like it or not, I'm going to do it. Meaning, I'm going to be their protector. And the language really reminded people of what Trump stands for.
And Donald Trump's not done. Did everyone hear what he just said yesterday? that he will do what he wants, quote, and here's where I'm going to quote, whether the women like it or not. And we must vote because this is the thing. You know, there's a saying that you got to listen to people when they tell you who you are, who they are. And this is not the first time he has told us who he is. He does not believe women should have the agency and authority to make decisions about their own bodies. This is the same man who said women should be punished for their choices. He simply does not respect the freedom of women or the intelligence of women to know what's in their own best interest and make decisions accordingly. But we trust women. We trust women.
Yeah, and so much of the Republican reproductive rights related agenda or attack on reproductive rights, that agenda is premised fundamentally on this offensive, vile distrust of women. And what I mean is, of course, you have people who just at conception have a wildly different view about sort of the question of life and bodily autonomy and what starts and all that. But you have this other big prominent section, because Republicans never argue that. The argument goes something more like, well, I just want to prevent the 9th month pregnant or the 9th month abortions happening. And the post-birth abortions, Trump would say, you're the radicals, which gets down to what is being referenced there. Oh, you're lying, first of all, but let's pretend like you're articulating an actual view you hold. You have some crazy view about what women are even approaching medical professionals seeking. Because those super late term abortions that you're talking about are only happening for reasons that are medically necessary, some issue that took place in the pregnancy medically. And then you stripping away those rights because of a myth you have about women, a distorted, yes, offensive myth, a distrustful myth about these elective abortions happening later in pregnancies, then justifies you ripping away rights and causing, like we just heard the horrific story in Texas, deaths of women because they can't get the care they so desperately need, and the care that most Republicans even would say they should have received. And Trump's little turn of phrase there, or a little slip up in letting this phrase come out of whether women like it or not, and then the rest of it is irrelevant, even though he was trying to say, because I'm going to protect them whether they like it or not, is actually a perfect little embodiment. I don't know why I'm holding a pencil. Perfect little embodiment of what it is that he stands for. That's it for the segment. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, like button, all those good things. You've done it. Subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next video.